My name's Jeff St Laurent. This is the Live Tuesday call. Today we got a good crew on, and the topic we're going to be talking about is basically how do you use videos effectively on your website, and how do we use them to convey messages? How do we use them to even sell our products and services? So we can kind of clarify a few things around that. Before we get rolling, I always record my Live Tuesday calls, which of course some of you are probably listening to this on the recording now anyways. And with that being said, I put them all in my university on my website. So if you go to my website, sellingcoaching.com, right on the university, you'll see all my recorded calls, a lot of great education there for you as I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And then right on my homepage at Selling Coaching, I have another great resource for you, and that's the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. So you can certainly check that out as well. And when you put your name and email into there, that will also put you on my email community, a great avenue, not only for us staying in touch, but more importantly, especially as a coach, I like to see it. So you can start to see how I use email to stay in touch and connect with my audience. In that respect, such a vital part of our business is our audience, and email marketing, if you want to call it that, is very important to understand. So that's what I have for you there. And at the top of my website, sellingcoaching.com, I've got my private Facebook group, which I always love that group. It's steadily growing each and every week. And we're doing a lot of great things to help you speak your voice, help you speak your message, whether you're speaking it already or you're developing it. Do a lot with video, and obviously that's kind of the topic today is how to use video effectively. And it's no wonder that I'm a big believer in video. Again, not necessarily for everybody, but again, it's a great way to at least start and at least go down that path to try it out and begin to learn. That's the important piece of that. So you can certainly check that out there. It's a great place to start practicing doing some videos. And this is in alignment with our topic today. Is at the top of my private Facebook group, I have a pinned post, and that's for something I call the Visibility Challenge. And that's where I challenge coaches to create 30 videos over 91 days. Whether you do 31 videos over 91 days or 9 years, or you just do 1 or 2 videos, it's really a challenge to kind of, I put some structure to it, but in line with today's topic is, if you're thinking about creating videos or you want to create them, there's obviously a barrier sometimes, and typically that barrier is not necessarily technology. If you're not technically inclined, let's say, it still shouldn't be a barrier because it's very, very easy to do it. But more so, it's a fear barrier, and like, oh my God, myself on camera, that freaks most people out. So that's a great avenue, and I bring that up specifically because if you're looking to do this, it's a great avenue where I want to provide that group for you. That's a safe environment. Obviously, the people in there can see it, but it's a way of getting it out live to some people. So definitely check that out if you're thinking about doing videos or you want to start to perfect them as well. So with that being said, we're talking about how to effectively use videos for your website. And this kind of comes from, I obviously as a mentor coach to coaches helping them transition to full-time, I look at a lot of coaches' websites, whether they're my clients, a new client coming on, or as we're working with them and helping them develop it as I mentor them, or also just as I interact with coaches. Whenever they've got a website, I want to check it out. I want to see what people are doing. And inevitably, when I go to coaches' websites, and I'll just say for the sake of impact, 10 out of 10 coaches, it's slightly less than that, but really 10 out of 10 coaches, when I go to the website, how they market themselves, how they, quote, if you will, sell coaching, is you go to their coaching website and it's all about coaching. It's all about, hey, I'm a coach and I got certified here, and here's what coaching is, and here's what coaching isn't, and here's why people use a coach, and here are maybe some testimonials, and here's maybe you need a coach, and hey, if you need a coach, why don't I offer you a complimentary coaching session, and then, click here to subscribe, get a complimentary coaching session, right? And the problem with that is, and I'll be honest, when I started off, that's exactly what I did, because I didn't know, right? And I didn't know what I was doing in the sense of, how am I going to market myself as a coach? How do I actually sell coaching, right? The name of my business, Selling Coaching. So how do you sell coaching in a medium of your website? And I want to give you a shift in premise here is, coaching isn't what we sell. Like, let's put coaching in the back burner. Coaching is something that, as we know as a coach, is very ambiguous. We can't it's experiential, right? People don't know what coaching is by reading or listening to a description. They've got to actually experience it. That's why we do complimentary sessions, right? But the way to get someone to a complimentary session isn't by saying, hey, here's what coaching is, here's why you might need it, hey, let's do one. It's now let's flip it back is now we go back to, well, what are we really going after? That's why I'm a big advocate of when you hear people talking about, hey, having a niche or having, I call it a headline, right? Helping who with what specifically. We want to identify kind of maybe who we're going after, what are they challenged with, and so what are we actually now helping them with specifically? That helps us identify kind of our education. And when I talk about education, like this live Tuesday call that I'm doing right now, is when we have our audience, our role is to educate our audience. And again, this is an avenue of marketing that I would like to call education-based marketing. And so as opposed to leading with our product, which is coaching, which is the way we're probably familiar with most marketing or most businesses, and I'll just use like any retail establishment, right? They're going to lead with products. They're going to say, hey, we've got a sale on TVs, we got a sale on hummus, we got a sale on, whatever. It's 2 for 1 today, and whatever it is, like they're selling their products. There's not a lot else to go around that. Like they're just directly marketing their products. Here's our cars, and it's $2,000 cash rebate on Labor Day weekend or whatever it is. But with coaching, it's different, right? We're not. Well, you can, but what I'm saying for you is we don't want to be leading with coaching. We want to be leading with education. We want to be leading with thoughts, with questions, with concepts, with strategies, with ideas. You can extrapolate from there that are going to help our target audience that we've defined at our niche or that headline, like I said, helping who with what specifically. We want to lead with that education. And so it's that education as opposed to coaching that we lead with, that where we begin to help people. And as we begin to help people, they begin to start to realize, wow, this person knows what they're doing, or wow, this person might be able to help me because they understand who I am. They understand what I'm going through. The questions that they've asked me, or through what I've learned through, let's call it their education, whether it's something they're reading, writing, or in this case, when we're talking about video, watching, they're learning something from you. And so therefore they feel like, wow, this person might be able to help me. So now when you bring up, like at the beginning of my call, when I do my little intro, if you will, if I want to call it that, and I say, hey, I record the calls, blah, blah, blah. Not all the times, but sometimes at the beginning and or especially at the end, I'll mention, hey, I do one-on-one mentoring. I help coaches and I mentor them, etc. So if you're in a position where you need my help, etc., go to my Work With Me tab, fill out the form at the bottom. We can have a relaxed conversation. So at that point, it's not in the forefront. It's not the only thing I'm talking about. But at that point, at the end of or at the beginning of some education like that, after I've been doing that for a while, after an event, let's say a live speaking engagement, if you will, whether it's face-to-face or on the phone like this, you mentioned that at the end, hey, I'm available for one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mentor coaching, etc. That's where people are made aware. So we want to make them aware of what we do, but we just don't want to lead with it. We want to lead with that education in terms of how we're helping them, but not as a coach, but through specifics. So now that leads us into like how to effectively start using video for this. So like I said, when I go to coaches' websites, and again, check your own, or if you haven't done that yet, think about this before you do that, before you create one, is well, where do I have coaching on there? What am I leading with? Am I leading with coaching, or am I leading with education? And that's where we want to go from, is leading with that education. So when we start thinking about videos, we want to think about, I want to create these videos to help educate, and I want to help them understand how they can move forward with what I'm helping my audience with. That's why it's so important we understand, who we're helping with what specifically, right? And so now what we start to do is we start to take that premise and we start to look at it from a perspective of, and I'm going to go through like each of the pages and where we can actually use the videos, and maybe even some structure, if you will, and how to effectively use them. like starting off the most effective space, like on a landing page, right? When they come to the home page, people will call it a landing page or a home page. At a minimum, I would definitely want to have your picture there, right? When they come to that home page at the top, and then having that big headline of helping who with what specifically. Like if you went to my website, sellingcoaching.com, you see right at the top, helping coaches transition to a full-time business with Jeffrey St Laurent, and you see my picture there. So as opposed to a picture, you could have a video there next to your headline if you want. That would be a good spot to have it as well. Or you could put it below that, maybe towards the bottom of the page. And again, there shouldn't be too much on the homepage anyways. Like in my homepage, I actually have a picture at the top. My video is actually at the bottom of the homepage. And again, you have to scroll too far to get to it, but that's why I placed it there. But that homepage video is a great way to, number one, differentiate yourself, right? It's differentiating yourself from other places. Not that they're visiting a bunch of coaches' websites, but just any website for the matter. I mean, how often do you go to any website, not a coach's website, but just any website where there's a video, especially with a business, and especially a business that we run like a solopreneur. And whether it's another industry or not, it's very rare that a person will have a video. So it's going to separate you initially from the rest of the people. And it's a great way to get to know you very quickly, and so much more than anything else you could do. And especially for what we do as coaches, it's vital that people get to know us, who we are, what we represent, what we value, what we like, what we don't like, what we teach, and know a little bit about us as a person, as a family person, so forth and so on. Not all the intimate details, but sharing some of those things. And those of you that are students of mine that are in my email community, that read my emails, or even in some of my videos and my calls, I share some of the things that I do or go on with my life, especially with my emails. And again, not real deep details, but enough where you can get a real good sense of kind of who I am as a person and what I value in my life. And those are important things because people are trusting us with their lives, right? They're trusting us with some really vulnerable spaces, hopefully some vulnerable spaces that they, in a lot of cases, may have never vocalized to anyone ever in life, or have never said these things out loud to anybody else. So that's why some of these things are so important. That's why when I work with my mentoring clients and even some of my education that I deliver through these calls, et cetera, is, I always say, like, hey, if you're looking to get clients, you've got to be speaking in front of people. And why live speaking, right? A call like this is great, but face-to-face live events, I mean, that's by far the best way to get a client. Why is that? It's because you're in front of them. Imagine that as just being a live video, right? But it's just face-to-face. Like, so they get to know you. They get to experience you on so many different levels in that live setting. And that can take a perfect stranger who's coming to your event for the first time. And at the end of that convert them into a potential client because they're like, wow, this has been fantastic. And now you can have a conversation afterwards, and next thing you know, that person could be your client. That's how it works in our business. And so now, especially when we take that to the virtual world, because a lot of businesses now are, not that they're all virtual, we do phone, coaching, things like that, but a lot of events that we do take place virtually. A lot of communication we do takes place virtually. And video, I would say, is most likely the most underutilized platform to do that with. And so now what we're doing is almost we're taking away the barriers that virtualness can inherently has, and we're stripping them away with video. And whether it's a live video like a Facebook Live or a recorded video, it's a fantastic way of them really getting to know you and getting to experience you. And that's why if you go to my Selling Coaching group on Facebook, my private group, that's another reason why I encourage you to get in there, because it's like whenever I see a new video from somebody that I don't know, it's just like I get to know them. Someone could write, hey, it's great to be in your group. Thanks for welcoming me in. And then, here's what I do and here's my business and blah, blah, blah. And then another person could do kind of almost say the same thing that the other person wrote, but they do it on a video. And it's like, I just like, wow, it's like I know that person. It's like they're sitting there right there in front of me talking. So it's a very different way of doing it. So if we're thinking about that on our homepage, we want to think about, okay, what do we want to do? We want to welcome them to what we're doing here. And again, we don't want to focus on us being a coach. Of course, we're a coach. But if I was going to kind of give you a format of what to say in that video and you can reinforce this if you go to my website. Like I said, I have a video at the bottom at sellingcoaching.com, and this is the kind of basic format that I use. And again, I wouldn't have the videos scripted, like I write it all out and then I memorize it necessarily. What I would do, and you could practice on your style in terms of how you deliver your videos, but in order to come across the most authentic way, obviously the less scripted you are, the less you're reading from something, or it kind of have an idea of where you're going, but just then let it flow out and allow the natural pauses and just whatever comes out of you to be on that video. And that's the best way to come across it. And again, it does take practice getting comfortable. Some people, if you will, are more natural on video. But the way I'd say to do it is just introduce yourself. Hey, my name's Jeffrey St Laurent. And then go right into your headline. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. You have to say, like, I'm a coach or I'm a this. Just focus on who you help with what specifically, right? So I'm Jeff St. Laurent. I help coaches transition to a full-time business, and I'm so glad you made it to my website. All right, and then the next couple sentences can kind of be on the framework of kind of like what it is that you're doing there. So obviously, as I help coaches transition to a full-time business, I like to provide some great education for you because I know this journey, having done it myself since 2014. Sorry, no, since 2004. It was a struggle in the beginning, and what I've learned is over the course of time that selling was a major skill set that I had to learn and that developed, and that's responsible for me, still being able to do it full time today, right? So I tell a little bit of kind of like the premise of my business or where I'm coming at it from, and then from there I'm just going to kind of direct them like, well, where do I want them to go on my website? And so the number one place I want you to send them, which would require you actually having this, would be a free offer. A lead magnet, some people call it. Basically a place, and it should be right on the homepage, right underneath that top header, if you will. So like where I said, there's maybe a picture of you and then your headline, like underneath right there, that's a space where you'd want to have your free offer. At the beginning of the call today, you heard me say, hey, I've got a great resource for you, a free resource on my website called the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. Right, where you enter your name and email, etc. So that's essentially what that is. So you want to have a free offer for them, a free gift for them, something of value. Again, education-based. It's not about coaching. It's not about anything like that. It's basically like I showed you mine, the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. It's helping new coaches start up. So it's giving them, okay, what do we need? What are we thinking about? It kind of gets them going. And it's valuable for that specific audience. That's why it also helps being able to identify who you help with what specifically. It can help hone in your free offer that much better and make it more valuable for that person because you've targeted more specifically, what you're working with them on. So if I'm helping coaches transition to a full-time business, it would make sense that I've got an Ultimate Startup Guide, for new coaches, because that's who I'm attracting a lot of those people, into my space. So in that video, again, I'm going to direct them to that. And knowing my videos at the bottom of that page, I'll say, if you look up above, you're going to see my offer, my free gift to you for the Ultimate Startup Guide for New Coaches. And I'll tell them, go up there now, enter your name and email address. When you do that, I'm going to send you that. And I'll say to them, it's also going to put you on my email community, just like I did at the beginning of this call. Let them know what's going to happen and why there's a benefit to that. All right. And the next thing is, what other resources do you want to send them to? So just like the beginning of my call, it's kind of like the same thing I do there that I would do in a video. Is now I want to send them, I want to make them aware of my university, right? And for those of you listening to this, my university, all that is a blog. It's a blog. And instead of calling it a blog, I called it a university. I just rebranded it for what I'm doing in my education, and as I'm helping coaches, that's my university where I'm teaching them. So I just branded it that. You can call it whatever you want, but that's a place where I put my resources, and that's my education. And remember, if I fast forward to when I started this call off and I said, what do we want to lead with? We don't want to lead with coaching. We want to lead with what? Education, education-based marketing. So I want to send them to my university. That's why on these calls, I do these calls every week. I record them. I send people to my university. That's where I'm driving all my traffic. I want people to consume this information. I want to give detailed, valuable information so that these coaches are like, oh my God, this is great stuff. Not only so they can consume it themselves, and I want them to say, oh my God, I can't believe this is free. but also so that they want to share it with other coaches, which then bring other people into my audience. It's like people are doing the work for me, helping me grow the audience because I'm giving away great stuff. And then also what it does is it starts to build value for these people in working with me. But why? Not because I'm selling and talking about my coaching. I'm not talking about my coaching here, my mentoring with you, right? I'm educating and I'm helping. But then as people listen to it, they start to think like, wow, Jeff knows his stuff, or Jeff knows how to do this, or oh, wow, this is a topic that I really need help with. Wow, Jeff really enlightened me, or Jeff really helped me around this. And if they are at that point where they really need some guidance, it's only a natural thought where, wow, Jeff might be able to help me with this. And because then I can mention, hey, I do mentor coaching, or they can see work with me, on my website. It's a natural progression when they're listening or they have those thoughts. If the timing's right, maybe they go to that work with me tab at the bottom and fill the form out. And next thing you know, we could be talking and it could be a client. But again, that's where I'm sending those people. So in this video, you want to start to figure out, hey, where do I want to send them? So free offer, send them to your blog or whatever you're going to label it there. We're hopefully on a frequent basis, like I say, a weekly basis ideally. And then when I work with my clients, I help them develop a weekly marketing system where we're creating new events and new content every week. So we're sending people there and we're educating them on a weekly basis. So it's growing. So send them to, like, let's say that blog space. And then maybe there's another one where, like my private Facebook group, and again, you don't have to send them to a private group, et cetera, like that. But I just have that as because I love Facebook groups. I use Facebook for my marketing and for my community. So I use that in particular. You might use a different platform. But either way, it's another place where people can go, and it's a place where people can interact. But that's it. I want them in my university, on my email list, and then a place to interact a little bit more is on the website. But I want to direct them to those spaces. So wherever it is there, let them know that in that video. And then you can say, it's great to have you, and I'll see you on the inside. That's how you can kind of close the video, right? And so that's just a great little welcome video. And what I'd say, whenever you make your videos, especially for your website, number one, don't overthink them. And it's just like kind of like someone's coming over for a party, and they're coming to your house, let's say for the first time, and you're just like, hey, welcome, so glad to have you. Like, did you make it in here okay? You're like, how would you act if someone showed up at your house for the first time and you didn't really know them, but they're there for an obvious reason, right? Your party is, and I'll just speak from my headline, is I'm helping coaches transition to full-time business, and I'm throwing a party. It's called my website, so come on over. And then they show up, so I know they're a coach. They're there. They're showing up because they want to transition to full-time, right? They're showing up at your site because of your headline. So it's just like, welcome. So there's already a reason. You know why they're there, not the details of why, but that's what I want the video to be. It's just be like, hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And then just to kind of give that type of energy. Think about the way you dress, like just, unless you're working with corporate and finance or something that's very, very rigid, where you'd wear like more business attire, suit, or for guys, even a tie for that matter, or women, like, business wear. Like, I would just think, like, don't dress like a slob, but just like what's like business casual, or like have a nice shirt with a couple buttons down with some jeans, or just present yourself well is what I'm saying, but don't I think sometimes people overdo it, and I did that. When I say growing up, I almost said, right? But and when I first started my website, and I had a photo shoot done, and I had my suit and tie, and I had all these formal photos taken, and it's like they were good photos, but there was just something about it that was just like, it wasn't quite there. But I didn't see that then, because I'm like, oh, this is what I want to do, and all these people around, that's what I saw, and everything was super professional. And also things weren't as advanced as they are today as well, meaning when I took those photos I didn't have a HD camera on my phone with good light. I could take a really nice photo. Like, you know what I mean? Like the photos on my website I took from my iPhone 6 in the back of a restaurant when my family went out to eat, and I was actually standing next to a dumpster. I just liked the wall back there, and I'm like, wow, that's a great wall. Let me use it. So my brother took some pictures, but we didn't have that, 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Or even 5, 6 years ago. Like the quality in cameras wasn't like it is today. So probably needed to do a photo shoot like that. But nowadays, is like whether it's for your photos or especially your videos, and also what you're doing with them, I want you to think more casual. So in terms of production quality, I mean, if you've like I said, I got an iPhone 6. I think the iPhone 7's out now, or whatever the Samsung and or whatever equivalent is, right? But if you bought a new phone in the last couple of years, even, you've got something that's with some great natural daylight can shoot a really great HD video. So it's like that's what you want it to be HD, bottom line. So if you're thinking about quality and production level, you want it to be HD, right? But it's so easy to get that now. You don't need to go buy a $2,000 camera at the camera store. Like, you just don't need it. You can go there if you want to, but you can get away with, and when I say get away, I'm not settling here either. If I'm giving advice for somebody, like, that's why I would want you to start off with, right? I want you to start off with just use a great, as long as you got a newer phone or something like that, just make sure there's plenty of daylight, shoot that way. Think about your background, think about what you're wearing, don't overthink it. Get rid of all the background noise, plenty of light, and shoot it and see what happens. And if it's your first time doing it, like I said, utilize my private Facebook group at Selling Coaching to start practicing some of those videos. So in terms of the quality, that's where I'd have you start off with, because you can get great quality, and you can, and even decent audio as long as you're in a quiet room with a lot, shut the fans off, shut any humming lights off, or things like that. Close the windows so there's no street noise if you live near the street or whatever. Put the kids out of the house and the dogs if you've got them, or do it when no one's at home. But even just some of those small little things can really make for a nice video. And even in terms of editing, people have these intros and these music overlays, that they do it and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it can be nice, but I've had all that stuff, and a lot of times it's like, you know what? I'm going to redo some of my videos soon, and it's just like, I'm just going to cut right into the video. It's just like, so even just snipping the ends off your video, and you can use like an iPhone, or like it's called trimming the edges off, right? You just drag it in and trim it, and it cuts off those edges. So you can start and finish when you film, and that's it. That's all you need to do, right? It's to make a great video. So you can start to think about that in terms of like production quality. I actually did a course. It's called Video Creation University. So if you want to get a lot more detailed, again, I wouldn't recommend it right away. Like I said, shoot your first video, shoot 2 or 3 videos, practice a little bit, make one thing a little bit better here and there. But at that point, if you want to, do a little bit more, you're having challenges with some of the content, or maybe strategies on how to present it well, and you're not kind of jiving with the video, I have something called the Video Creation University. I could put a link with the recording, and it's also at the bottom of the pinned post in my Selling Coaching private Facebook group with that visibility challenge. It's a great course to kind of walk you through not only creating great videos, but also presenting them as well. So if that's a challenge for you there, you can always check that out as a resource. But that's it in terms of production. Like, keep it simple. Keep it simple what you want to say. And then in terms of what else, in terms of video on the website, that intro video, I would say if I'm saying which one to start with that one, right? Make that your priority to make right there. Then if you're happy with that and you're rolling with that, the next video I would say is on the About page, right? And on that About page, and again, you can role model it from my website. I have that right at the top. And in terms of what to talk about in an About page, it's not necessarily about you right away. I would think about this in terms of why you do what you do. So in other words, it's your why for doing your business. So instead of, here's my, my biography, or here's my resume, and I went to this school and I graduated here and blah, blah, blah. It's more as like, why do you do this? So like my video is just like, I'm just sitting down and I'm talking about why I started selling coaching, and the story behind it, and my motivation for it, and the passion for it. And again, that's probably a little bit longer video, whereas like the video on the homepage. And again, don't stress out about the times. But again, shorter is better especially on the homepage. Minute, 2 minutes, maybe tops around there. But then for the About page, the why video, why you do what you do, don't necessarily think about the time. I don't want to have it be like 15, 20 minutes. I think mine's maybe 6 minutes. So it's definitely a little bit longer. But again, remember, no one's really going to watch that until they start actually caring about what it is you're doing and so forth and so on. That's not a video that they're just going to watch right out of the gates. And a welcome video, yeah, that's something that, oh, wow, and they click it. And if you can get through it quick enough and you get some good energy in terms of what you're saying to them, and it's informative, like I was talking about, people can watch that. But otherwise, this is the video where you kind of sit down and you communicate a little bit more and really talk about that why. That's a great video there, because they kind of get that it makes it more than a business. And of course, as coaches, it's so important that we understand what our why is, because to me, that's the only way we're ever going to survive and be successful in entrepreneurship, when it throws just a whole bunch of crap at us and challenges on a daily basis on top of what life has to throw at us. If we don't have a really strong why, I'd be surprised if you'd make it through that, right? Because you need to be able to have that to get you through that piece. So that would be the second place where I'd have that video. In terms of having anything else, you don't need to have anything else besides that. Number one, I'd say, is definitely have that homepage video, like that welcome. And then if you can get another one after that, do that about page. If you're going from there, I have a video on my website on each page except for the contact page and my products page. So in other words, I have one on my homepage, my about page. I did one on my work with me page. And that's where, again, it's probably, I think, a couple minutes from there. And that's where I just talk not so much about like me as a coach and what I can do, but it's more of like how I can help you. And again, that's where you can go on some of the benefits of working with and think about your population. And it's just a quick little introduction, say, hey, I'm Jeff, and if you're here, that means you might be considering working with me. Right? This is kind of how I'd phrase it, right? If you're here, it means that you might be considering working with me. That's great. It probably means you're in a position where maybe you want a little more guidance. You need, you're maybe exhausted and you just are sick of messing up, and you want some help so you can streamline it and make it faster. Or maybe you're just starting off and you don't want to go through all that frustration by yourself, and you want someone who's been there, done that, so to speak. And so I can go there. So I can say, if you're interested in that, check out below. I got a few more different descriptions of what I can do with you. But more importantly, if you're serious, just scroll down to the bottom. I've got a form down there. You can fill that out. That comes directly to me. And then we can create a relaxed conversation and kind of see where it goes. So I'm kind of guiding them through that process, if you will. That's kind of the structure of the video, kind of introducing that, talking about the intro piece for a little bit, and then kind of guiding them through kind of what I want them to do. Basically saying, hey, if you're here, here's probably why, but then if you're in this place, why don't you go ahead and fill that form out down the bottom. And if you don't have that on your site, it's something you can always duplicate. You can check out and see what I have and notice how I word it. But it's a great way to qualify someone coming in who's potentially considering working with you. So I use it for that. And then the last place I have a video is actually on my university page at the top. And again, that's all it is like a guide. So instead of having a bunch of words describing things, and here's what this is, even like on a homepage, instead of having all these words and people scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, a video is a great way to just kind of cut out all this scrolling and words and just put a video in there. So I put a video in there as, hey, welcome to my Selling Coaching University. And then I kind of go on and just describe what it is, and here's what it is. And so that's a great avenue to introduce kind of what this is and take away some of that wording, if you will. And that's a great space now, if you notice, is you're directing people to the places where you can help them, but you're not focusing on the coaching, right? You're focusing there on the education. If you notice, it's all about, hey, here's my free offer, right? Education-based. Here's my, if you will, private Facebook group, right? Education-based, right? Because I'm helping people, interacting with people, helping them use video, etc., right? Sending them to my university, education-based. Sending them to, if they go to the Work With Me tab even, right? It's kind of like helping them understand what they can do and describing where they're at. I'm not even saying, hey, you'll notice on that page, I don't even talk about a complimentary session, right? I'm just saying, hey, why are you even here? Or why are you considering potentially working with me? Let's talk about that. If they qualify, then through that future communication, I might offer them a complimentary session, right? So nowhere I'm pushing coaching. It's all about them and helping them through the education and or finding out what they're going through so we can figure out how I can help them. And then even on the About page, I mean, they're there because they want to learn more about what this business is and maybe who you are. And so that's where you're talking not about necessarily your passion for coaching. You're talking about why do you do this in the first place? Why did you fall in love with coaching? What is your process, and why are you helping the people that you help right now? Right, and so that's the focus. And I would want to make sure, when you make the videos, some people talk about you can make videos, like you can use different services, and they'll do like, I don't even know what the videos are called, right? But they're videos, it's basically not you, it's like characters or cartoons or pictures or something like that. And those can work, but I want you to do a video of yourself. Like, at the end of the day, we're the product, we're the service, right? Like, we're the ones educating, we're the ones that they hire. And obviously that's why it can be so challenging as a coach, us being the product or service, because it can feel like, wow, if they don't like us, they're rejecting me, or they don't want to hire me, they're rejecting me. And it really has nothing to do with us, but also with me in saying that, I want you to work on yourself and get better and refine your speaking skills, refine your language, refine your presentation, not so it's so stuffy, etc., but just so it can just be you, right? So whatever topics you're covering, right? So if you've got like heavy topics, for instance, like relationship stuff, or I've had clients work with like divorce and infidelity, and I mean, we're talking some heavier subjects now, right? It's like, how do you want to come across in these videos? And sometimes a video can help set the tone for the way you are doing your business. And especially on heavier topics like that, it's just like in a video, you can now show your sense of humor. You can show your personality. You can laugh a little bit. You can tell a joke, not like you're telling a joke per se, but like you can say something that's funny, and we can laugh about things, because even in those really challenging, heavy situations, it doesn't mean those people never laugh anymore, right? It doesn't mean that they're always just miserable. You've seen people at a funeral laughing hysterically, right? Just because someone passed away doesn't mean you have to be miserable all the time. There are moments of lightness even in that heaviness. So you've got to decide, well, how do I want to convey this? How do I want to, again, come across and set the tone? Videos are a great way to set the tone for what you do, set the tone for not your website per se, but right, what they're about to experience with their website and you. And so that's another great way of doing that. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just determining, well, that can just come from you. How is your personality? Are you always serious? Do you joke around? Like, what's your personality? Start to show it. And that's a great way to start to think about how you want to start to convey your message. And the great part is it's a great way to be able to show yourself. And I would say the last thing here is to make it to a place of being genuine and being authentic, focusing on them, but just remembering that it's just like, this isn't a big deal. This isn't a big production. This is just like, it's a big deal in the sense that you're passionate about it and you want to help these people. But then just allow yourself to be yourself. Allow yourself to just speak the way you'd speak in front of your friends or your family, or maybe that's not a good thing, but you know what I mean? It's just like, find a way where you can start to bring that yourself out of it. It can feel hard on a camera when you're alone in the room and you're staring at this piece of equipment, and it's just like, sometimes it's so hard to be able to get the words to come through. But again, that's where I go back to that practice, through that visibility challenge, etc. Like I mentioned in my Facebook group, that's a great way of starting to do that. But that's the only way you're going to just be able to start to begin to allow yourself to come through. And again, last thing I'll say again is, remember, I had that Video Creation University. Again, if you're challenged with that, I give a lot of tips and strategies, so you could always check that out. Again, I'll post that link with the recording, and like I said, also it's in the pinned post at the bottom in my private Facebook group.